Before I start this video, I want to have a moment of silence for all the fans that we lost during that Gauff Zheng Rome semifinal. Thank you. By the grace of her Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, Coco Gauff survived that titanic semifinal tussle in Rome, outlasting Qinwen Zheng 7-6, 4-6, 7-6 in 3 hours and 32 minutes. This marked the longest match of Coco's career, and it definitely felt like it. If anything, it felt like 6 hours and 32 minutes. I'll try my best to analyze that interesting match and preview the finale between Coco and Jasmine Paolini. Hey, I'm Christian Bassnight and welcome to Christian's Court, where I cover tennis from all angles. If you have not yet already, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you are notified whenever I post my women's final recap and my men's semifinal analysis video. Now, if you're wondering why I'm looking here dressed so crazy, that's just me getting into character and matching the vibe of that Gauff Zheng match. I knew that we'd be in for a wild ride judging from their last few matches, especially that WTA Finals finale from 2024, which Coco miraculously won 7-6 in the third set, despite trailing by a set and 3-1. I said in my preview for this match that this one would have a lot of breaks, but that was definitely an understatement, and I did not expect these women to trade 19 breaks total in this match. It was a roller coaster by every sense of the word, and Coco started off on a high, breaking Zheng for a 2-love lead in the first set. Qinwen really looked off and error-prone to start, and she seemingly struggled with having a letdown from that high Sabalenka quarterfinal win. Gauff had 3 game points to consolidate for the 3-love lead and take control of the opening set, but she did not do herself any favors by not making her first serves. Zheng took full advantage and got the break back, shifting the entire momentum in her favor as she won 3 games in a row, and I thought, okay, Qinwen's just going to run away with the opening set. But then Gauff rose her level and she broke right back at love, partly due to Qinwen's backhand being a little bit faulty, which it was at some crucial parts of this match. Now, Zheng had an opportunity to get the momentum right back at 3-all, where she held 2 break points, but costly errors again, especially from that backhand side, allowed Coco to get the hold and ultimately the boomerang break to serve for the opener for 5-3. In hindsight, Qinwen not breaking at 3-all really could have cost her that opening set and maybe the entire match, and I feel like that also revealed the main issue for Zheng, again, the backhand. I think in tight moments, her footwork on that backhand side isn't the best, and I think Coco, she has struggled with this similar issue but on her forehand. Meanwhile, Gauff's big issue when the going got tight was on her serve, as evident by this wild double fault that she hit actually into the crowd. And Coco, she double faulted 3 times when she tried to serve out the opening set 5-3. But Qinwen wasn't immune to this issue herself. After winning 3 games in a row, the Chinese woman double faulted twice in a row when serving for the opening set at 6-5. Now, the tiebreakers just really did Zheng in this match. She really never should have let those sets get to a tiebreaker, if we're being totally honest. And Gauff, she is just the stronger tiebreaker player of the two. Coco elevates her level in all aspects in all of their tiebreakers, and she just goes into a little bit more of a lockdown mode. While Zheng, meanwhile, she dips a little bit more and she does not have the same moxie or confidence in these breakers. Coco won the opening set tiebreaker when they played the first time in Rome in the quarterfinals last year, and she also won the final set tiebreaker, of course, in the WTA Finals. And, of course, here in this match, she won both the first and third set tiebreakers. It just comes down to Coco really being the stronger and more mentally tough of the two, and really I could end the analysis there. That's ultimately what decided the match, but I'm going to keep going. Qinwen, she recovered well after she lost that tight, heartbreaking opening set, and a lot of women would have faltered and just tailed away, but Qinwen, she started off the second set much more solid and consistent, and that is why she got out to that 4-1 lead. Now, from 4-2 on, things got weird for the next 6 games. And by weird, I mean neither woman held serve at all. Now, the question is, why did we experience so many breaks of serve in this match? First of all, both Coco and Qinwen are great returners, and they make a lot of returns. And I feel like for servers, it's just harder for them to hold on clay, particularly during the nighttime conditions where it's a little bit slower and the serve is a little bit more neutralized. It just becomes more of an even playing field and more about who wins and who's stronger from the ground, since they kind of start out more neutral from the serve. And in some cases, the returner is on the offensive rather than the server. And it really also, I think, became a mental obstacle for them to hold. And it felt like holding held the same significance as breaking did. And this wasn't just reserved for Gauff and Zheng and players having difficulty with holding serve, as in the first men's quarterfinal of the day between Paul and Hurkacz. They broke each other 6 times, and Hurkacz particularly has a very strong serve, so it's definitely, I guess, something is in the air. And it's not like the breaks of serve in this Gauff-Zheng match were quick. Most, if not all, of these games went to deuce, and oftentimes the server held game points to hold. But I think, again, it became more mental, and I think in these type of games, it just really could have gone either way. Both these women showed incredible mental resolve in this match, but I was really more impressed by Coco's mental fortitude and being able to put double faults and such behind her and dig herself out of trouble with simply excellent tennis. Specifically, when she was down 1-2 in the third set, she double faulted at 30 all before hitting a clean backhand winner, and then she double faulted at deuce and followed up with a crazy rally, probably the point of the match, which she came out on top of to erase the break point, and she ultimately held serve. And that 1-2 game was major. If Coco had gotten broken, Zheng possibly could have ran away with the third set. Then later on at 3 all, Coco had a chance to break, but she wasn't able to convert, only for her to get broken and then go down 3-5, allowing Zheng to serve for the match. Zheng came within 2 points of the win, leading 30-15 at 5-3 in the third set, and I thought honestly that Coco was cooked here. But Gauff, giving credit to her again, she stepped it up and played aggressive, but still within herself, and she got the break. And it's really not too much Zheng did wrong here, to be honest. Of course, if she played a little bit better, perhaps she could have come out on top of those rallies, but I don't feel like she really choked. I think it was more about Coco just playing too solid. Now, even though Coco got that great break of serve back, I thought that she would give up the ghost when trying to serve to stay in the match at 4-5, but nah, she just held her own and just played strong again and brought it to the tiebreaker, where once again, she was superior. Now, we gotta talk about that reaction from Coco when she won this match. It was everything. Like, she was like, I run Italy, I run Rome. Like, she was Natalie Nunn. It was so funny, but I just love the adrenaline and just her being pumped. She does get pumped like that, but we don't see her cuss like that. She was really like lit, and I don't blame her at all. That was quite the match. Again, I just can't praise Coco enough for this win. Again, the mental fortitude, but also it's just impressive because she just went deep in Madrid, making the finals there too. And it shows what an incredible athlete that she is, being able to play all this tennis like that back to back and outlast Zheng in this close match. And I think not only physical, but again, mental is why she won this. And I think that Qinwen still has a little bit of work to do mentally. And I think like with Sabalenka, maybe it could be some scar tissue whenever she faces Gauff. These are 3 losses now, close losses that she has suffered to the American. Now, I really think that this Coco and Qinwen could have the best rivalry on the tour. They're relatively close in age. Coco is 21, Zheng is 22 years old, and I just knew that this match was going to hit like crack. Both players are very similar in their game styles. They hit with such heaviness from their forehands. They also have flat backhands, and they are also great athletes, great movers, and great returners. I think we are all definitely going to be looking forward to their next match, although those with a fan of heart might want to skip the match because it's going to be a topsy-turvy match. Now, this match had quite a few mixed reviews. I know some people were quick to give it like a match of the year contender title. Other people were like, this is just a horrible match. I think definitely it's got to be in there for match of the year. I'm not saying best match of the year, but just overall, when we're talking about matches of the year, like most memorable, it's going to be top 3 for sure. The unforced error count was ungodly high. Coco hit 82 unforced errors, Zheng 74, and they only hit 27 and 22 winners for them respectively. Having a minus 55 and minus 52 differential is absolutely insane, especially for 2 top 10 players in a semifinal. But I can't fault them too much, again, with their game styles and the conditions, to be honest. And I feel like a lot of the rallies were long, and they just had anticlimactic finishes with the unforced errors. They were not able to finish with winners because, for one, they're great defensive players. They are incredible athletes. I think they had a nice mix of good long rallies and just not so great ones with kind of questionable errors, but overall it showed flashes of brilliance. The drama was at an all-time high, and you just really didn't know who was going to take it. Like, it's pretty much everything you could ask for in a match. So I got to give it up to both those ladies for an incredible match. Now, while we were looking at the stats, I don't think Zheng served nearly as well as she did against Sabalenka. Of course, some of that had to do with Gauff and her just being a stronger returner, and I think that Coco gave herself more of a fighting chance with taking a deeper returning position and neutralizing Zheng's serve, but also Zheng, she missed more first serves, and she did not hit her spots nearly as well as she did against Arena. The match was obviously close, but Coco definitely deserved to win. She won more points than Zheng, so props to Coco for being able to come out on top of that one. Now, this win marks Gauff's first Rome final after she previously bowed out in the semifinals to Iga Swiatek in 2021 and 2024. Gauff becomes the youngest player to make the Madrid and Rome finals in the same season in history. And in Madrid, she fell to Arena Sabalenka, but here in Rome, she will look to get over the finish line when she takes on Jasmine Paolini, who punched her ticket into the finals with a 7-5, 6-1 win over American Peyton Stearns. Now, Jasmine was being outplayed big time by Stearns. The American Stearns has a game style that was really tough for Paolini to handle, as Peyton has a big, heavy forehand that often got high and out of Jasmine's strike zone, as Paolini is kind of a short woman. And Stearns was in firm control of the first set. She led 4-1 30 love, and Peyton also had set points at both 5-3 and 5-4. But Paolini just stepped up and took matters into her own hands during crunch time, and she started dragging Stearns wide with her forehand before taking more chances and going up the line. And she also did a great job of taking Stearns' kick serve earlier too and attacking it. I think when Jasmine recovered and reeled off all those games in a row too in the opening set, it took a lot of wind out of Stearns' sails, and I think eventually both the crowd and the amount of match play and Stearns literally playing 3 matches in a row where she won 7-6 in the third just caught up to her. Still, this was a great, memorable run for Peyton. Like, I got to give her props for even making it this far. And now she's rewarded for that, of course, shooting up to a new career high of 27 in the world, and she will be seeded for Roland Garros. This would be her first land where she's a seed. I think she showed for sure this fortnight that she has what it takes to win a big title in her career. Now, looking ahead to this Gauff-Paolini final and what's at stake, they are going to be playing for their first Clay 1000 title of their careers, and this will be the first title of 2025 for either woman. For Coco, if she wins, it'll be her 10th tour title overall, her second on clay, first since Parma 2021, and her first title overall since the WTA finals from last year. Gauff is also aiming to become the first American Rome champion since Serena Williams in 2016. For Paolini, this title will be her 3rd career title overall, her first on clay, and her first title since Dubai. There's going to be more on the line for Jasmine in this final, in my opinion. She's going to become the first woman, Italian woman, an Italian period, to win this tournament since Raffaella Reggi from 1985. I apologize, Miss Reggie, if I'm mispronouncing your first name. That was 40 years ago, so big history is on the line for Jasmine. She's going to be fully aware of that, and she's the first Italian woman to even make it this far in the finals since her doubles partner, actually, Sada Irani, in 2014. Sada lost to an American in that final, Serena Williams, 3-love. Now, another big thing is Paolini will move up to number 4 in the world, and that will bump Iga Swiatek down to number 5, and that's huge and has huge implications for Roland Garros, because it means that Iga could face Arena or Coco in the quarterfinals, not in the semifinals of the year's second major. Now, looking at the head-to-head between these two, they've played 3 times. Coco leads the head-to-head 2-1, but Jasmine got their most recent win, which was not long ago at all. Last month, in fact, at the Porsche Grand Prix in Stuttgart, which she won by a score of 6-4, 6-3. In this match, Coco started very well. She got out to a 4-2 lead, but she kind of went off the rails from that point on. And I think the serve became a little bit of an issue for her, and Jasmine didn't make life easier for the American in doing well to attack Coco's second serve relentlessly, applying a lot of pressure. Gauff won just 39% of her second serve points compared to Jasmine's 60%. Some of that disparity in percentage of second serve points won was due to Coco just doing a little bit too much with her return, I feel, and she wasn't really giving herself a chance in the return and making it back in play. She was kind of going for too much. Now, looking at where Coco has the advantage in this matchup, First, she has the superior finals record. Jasmine, I believe, is 2-5 in finals, whereas Gauff is 9-2. And she also has the advantage in being in the final fairly recently in Madrid, and I think she's going to be extra hungry for revenge. Paolini's last final was in Wimbledon, so it's been a little bit longer for her. Gauff is also going to be looking for revenge, of course, from that Stuttgart loss, and also doubles too. Her and Alex Ayala lost to Sada Irani and Jasmine Paolini in the quarterfinals in a tight 3-set match. I also think that we can only expect better from Coco after the Zheng match. The match, I don't think she played bad in the match, but it was just a lot. And typically when players come through a tight match like that where they almost lose, they tend to free up and play even better. And I expect a higher level from Coco in this final, and I expect her to be a little bit more free. I also think the conditions in Rome, especially for this final, will better suit Coco than in Stuttgart. I think the indoor conditions favored Paolini a little bit more and her being able to take the ball early, but I think with this final, it would be an outdoors final, weather permitting. That will favor Coco in the conditions. I think that Gauff doesn't fare as well also in the slower type of conditions, and I think with the hotter type of weather conditions, her forehand and heaviness of shot will do more to make Paolini uncomfortable. Talking about her keys to the match, I think she first needs to protect her serve. She had too many issues with it in Stuttgart, just allowed Paolini way too many looks at breaking, I feel. I also think that she needs to use her weight of shot to her advantage and also take advantage of Paolini's shorter height by doing things like not only hitting with greater height herself on her forehand, but also hitting the forehand cross court, getting Paolini kind of stretched wide, as Jasmine does not have as great of a wingspan compared to other players. Also, I just think that Coco needs to do a better job of imposing herself, simple as that, doing things like attacking Paolini's sometimes weaker serves, and also coming to the net. I think that Gauff has had relatively strong success in doing so whenever she has opportunities. Now with Paolini, of course, the biggest advantage perhaps is the crowd. She's going to be having full crowd advantage. And I saw one tweet of a Coco fan talking about the possibilities of the Italian crowd just cheering Coco's double fault, especially if Coco gets that double fault bug in this final. And Coco, I don't really know if she's faced such a hostile crowd like she might face in the final in Italy. That could be a big, big factor. Also, I think that Paolini will have a lot of confidence in just beating Gauff from Stuttgart, and she knows what she needs to do in order to make Coco uncomfortable. Talking about the keys for Paolini, I think that she needs to continue to attack Gauff's second serve, applying pressure, and on that note, keep doing the first strike tennis, especially with the forehand. And then also, I think she needs to just keep good touching distance and scoreboard pressure to keep the crowd involved, because there is a possibility of kind of Coco running away with it a little bit more. But as long as Paolini makes things tight, and I feel like Coco, she is not, again, the best front runner, that could be a bigger asset for Paolini in crunch time, and perhaps, again, the crowd could get in Gauff's head. For my pick, though, I will be having the American win this match, and I say 3 sets. I was close to having 2 tie sets, but I think that Paolini can manage to get a set. I think that Jasmine low-key has been on thin ice this tournament. She was very close to getting bounced by Danish Nader, trailing by a set in love 4. Stearns maybe could have won it in 2 sets if she had closed out the opening set in their semifinal and if she just had more moxie. Coco, meanwhile, is just one of the most mentally tough players on tour. Now, while she might make things a little bit harder for herself, she's shown that she can close out in big times. I think the only exception recently was in the Madrid finals to Sabalenka, where she failed to serve out the second set, but alas, I also think that Paolini has benefited from a more advantageous draw compared to Gauff. When you look at it, the highest ranked opponent that Paolini played was Schneider. She did get that good win over Ostapenko, although Ostapenko, she can be a little bit up and down. I think that Yelena, as did Stearns, they went away when the crowd kind of took over and she kind of cruised to the end. I don't see that happening too much with Coco. And yes, again, Paolini does have the crowd by her side, but we can't forget that there could be nerves with Jasmine, big nerves, and her trying to make this history and claiming a title again for this tournament and for her home country. This is a very, very big deal. And yes, she did compete in 2 slam finals last year, so maybe she'll be better equipped to handle this, but I don't know. And as I mentioned too, I think the conditions, they're much better suit Coco than they did in Stuttgart. The return was a big issue for Coco in Germany. I expect Coco to be much more solid from that front, and I think that would be the big difference maker in deciding this outcome. So again, I expect Coco to be lifting her first Clay 1000 trophy come Saturday. Now, before I wrap this one, I gotta talk about Jannik Sinner, the king of tennis. I was onto something when I said that Jannik wore all black this tournament because he was about to lay the rest of the tour to rest, because this quarterfinal win over Casper Ruud was simply unbelievable. Beating the world number 7 6-love 6-1 in a 1000 quarterfinal, like speechless. I'm speechless. And yes, I know that Jannik was 3-0 against Ruud, and he had just mollywopped the Norwegian 1-2 in their latest meeting from the ATP Finals semifinals last year. But I thought that Casper would be able to tug at Jannik's ginger hair a little bit more and that baseball cap a little bit more, because of course this was going to be their first meeting on the clay, and clay is Ruud's best surface. But like Jannik said in his post-match interview, I think the nighttime conditions better aided the Italian because it just made Ruud's forehand a little bit really far less effective, and Sinner just attacked the backhand of Ruud relentlessly, and he also attacked the hell out of Ruud's second serve. Again, and then I thought that Casper would have a little bit more moxie just coming off the Madrid title, but that meant nothing to Jannik Sinner. And I thought that Casper's post-match press conference or post-match mix zone comments were very interesting and funny. He said, "It doesn't feel so bad, honestly. I think it was more fun than anything. Even though I lost, love, and won, you just look at the guy and say, this is kind of, yeah, next level shit. Excuse my language, but I don't know what else to say."
And this is in different areas. What the?
It was almost fun to witness at the same time. I know some people looked at Casper's quote sideways, because what do you mean you kind of enjoyed it was fun to witness the love and one beat down? I mean, Casper, he's just a fun, nice-hearted guy. I mean, you can't get too mad at him. That's how he feels, and I'm glad he's not taking it too much to heart, and he's having a positive approach to it, because what more can you do against Jannik when he's playing that good, honestly. The match stats say a lot here. Jannik was just in total control from the ground, and Casper honestly just had no chance out there. But the real insane stat is Jannik winning now 24 consecutive sets against top 10 players. And that's something that has not been done in over 40 years. Not to mention, he is still on that 25-match win streak. And let's not forget that this is only his first tournament back from the suspension. I'm just imagining, like, if he wasn't banned, what tournaments would he have won during that stretch? Not taking away anything from Draper and Menjic and Alcaraz too, because they deserve those titles, but still, Big Papa Sinner is back, y'all, and he's coming for his things. It was just a masterclass from Jannik, and really the Pope just blessed him, it seemed like, because, again, that was probably the best match of his life thus far. I don't think it's really too far-fetched at this point to start thinking about the possibility of Sinner achieving the calendar slam. Like, looking at Roland Garros, Jannik, and Carlos are the clear favorites. Wimbledon, I still think that he can do it. He pushed Djokovic in 2022 to 2-0. He had that advantage before Djokovic came back and won. So why not him, honestly? But still focusing on the present, this was a statement performance from Sinner, and he definitely looks back and better than ever, and this tour should be shaking in their boots right now because the king is back. Really, I think Jannik is the title favorite, to be honest, to take this whole title in Rome. But I'll talk more about how he does, though, in the semifinal against Paul in my men's focused video tomorrow. That is all I have for this recap of that crazy Zheng Gauff match. Do you think that this will be the match of the year or up there, top 3? Did you actually enjoy the match, or were you just like tortured in watching it? I was a little bit of both. It was like pleasure and pain watching that mess. Anyways, also let me know your thoughts on who will win in the women's final between Gauff and Paolini. Again, make sure you subscribe and click that notification bell so you are notified whenever I post further Rome related content. Thank you all so much for watching and for your support, and I will see you all next time here on Christian's Court.